What's going on, everybody? We are at Joe Ray's garage in the Wire Down Studios. We have a special guest today. Lowriders only in this garage, but it's lowrider paint today. Before we get into things, we have to give a shout out to our proud sponsors, Coker Tires and Power Master Performance. Without them, we wouldn't be teaching you how not to detail your car. So Lux, he's one of our favorite guests. We're going to get into car detailing so much to the final finish. It's all about paint. That's what lowriders are about. But then there's the wet sanding, and the polish. That makes your $15,000 or $20,000 paint job look like $50,000.
Your showstopper.
So you brought all your little tools of the trade. You got all kinds of different grades of sandpaper, foam pads, wool pads, these little exotic little tools. I hope they
Some
are.
of we got to make. Some of we got to just make them.
Explain to everybody what you got to do here, what the process is.
Yeah, because a lot of times we got to have everything available to us when we're out in the field, especially for mobile. Even if we're not mobile, you got to always have everything with you. So you never know what you're going to get into until you start sanding the car. So that's why you got to start having hard blocks, medium blocks, acrylic blocks. Everything in here just got to be something to where every paint job is different. So you got to be prepared at every place you go, because you can't just go to the store and buy half the things I have out there.
When you block, you have to start off like if you're sanding with 600, right?
Yeah, if you're starting off with 600, you're definitely going to start off with a hard acrylic block or a super firm. It's not really foam, but it's a hard density foam. So you're going to start with something like that. Then as you go, you're going to gradually start going into something that's softer. Because if you continue doing it all in hard block, you're going to take out more clear than you need to.
You're starting off at 600, 8, 10, 12, 15. I usually stop there, and I use an abrasive compound, and there's a chance of burning, right?
Yep.
You go from 2,000 to 2,500 all the way through.
Yeah, because what I try to do is minimize overheating the clear coat, because you can have all kinds of issues happen at that point. Either it's going to die back on you by the time you're done because it got too hot, or it could actually blister and start lifting. Then you got the possibility of burning something. So that's why I always try to stay with a really non-abrasive compound. That's why I try to go anywhere in here to finish off, and I don't do this anymore. I used to do that all the time, just like Joe back in the day. I stopped off 15, but now they came up with this lot lighter line.
So your process of wet sanding, you're going to begin with 600. So you get coarse scratches, so to speak, for everybody, right? You tone it down a little bit, get rid of some of those coarse scratches with an 800, and then the thousands to get rid of the 800 coarse scratches or the grit, right?
Yep.
And that's what you're continuing to do. You want to eventually color sand the whole car using all of these, not just necessarily the first two steps just to flatten it, because you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you'll get there. And sometimes you won't even start off blocking with these lower numbers. You just want to get the paint not so slick, so you can actually start getting the sandpaper to work into the clear coat. So sometimes you'll just scuff it with 6 and then start blocking and doing 8 and work your way down.
Okay. You have a 56
classic Chevy
Bel Air. You have the skirt. You got some paint over there, another panel over there. It's all customized. We'll get to that, but have at it.
All right. So on this one right here, you guys will see that, if you can see, that does have a little bit of a orange peel texture to it, or maybe a size of golf ball texture to it. And that's what we're going to try to fine tune to get the clarity and the depth out of this paint job.
So that everybody knows out there, when you clear a car, they're going to put a kit of clear on there. Hopefully they put 2. And a kit of clear, depending on how they mix it, it's 3 coats of clear. You should always go at least 2. But that's why you get that golf ball, he calls it, or orange peel. And you want to flatten that out so it looks like a glass all the way down the side. So that's what we're doing here, sir.
Now, the reason with the 2 kits of clear, it's also going to depend on the high solid. High solid's a very thick clear. It's kind of like a syrup when it's in the gallon can. Or if you use a low solid clear, it's going to be more like water. So that's another thing you got to put in consideration on how far you're going to be sanding to take anything out. So that's where all the trouble will start coming in. So I'm going to show you right here, if you're not able to see the texture from the camera, now you can see it. There's the lows, all the shiny, and there's all the highs we're knocking down. So we're going to take this down to where it's all completely flat. Knowing your clears is actually a really big deal to know. And when people go out to SEMA and stuff like that, when you have all the engineers right there and the chemists, that's what it's about. It's not about going out there to party. It's about, you can party afterwards, but go get that knowledge because you'll never get that many engineers in one building at one time like that.
Your color sanding is down right now.
Yeah.
Blocking it down was 600.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now you'll say more and more you'll start seeing this to go flatter, flatter, flatter as we go.
Okay.
And you only want to go like 2 or 3 passes at a time. So then you can really know where you're at, especially when you're working with water. Dry sanding, you can actually see it. But a lot of people frown on dry sanding. I do some dry sanding. You just got to really know
What you're looking at.
what you're looking at and what you're doing. Yeah, because if you just start dry sanding and start going at it like you would wet sanding, you're in a big mess.
What grade is that? All 600?
That's 800.
You already.
Only because this didn't have a lot of texture in it,
Okay.
so I had to deal with what it is with the hard block. So then from here, after I do a couple more passes, I see that was just 3 passes. The 3 passes already flattened it out.
Okay.
And some guys will just keep on going, and that's where you run into an issue because you're not able to see anything with the water. So there's 8. And then when it doesn't have a lot of texture, you can actually go 8, 12. And after you've done the hard block, you really don't have to keep on going with hard blocks. You can, but you're really taking off too much clear because the new clear coats today will die back and require a maintenance wet sand unless we didn't give it enough dry time. And then you're not going to have nothing to work with.
So softer blocks.
Softer block, medium
When you start
density.
getting into 1,000, right?
Yeah, you start going to a medium density. Here we jump straight to
You try
12.
not to dig in with your fingers like I do, right?
No.
Because then you're going to leave that print. You're
You're
going
gonna
to
leave
dig
that
in.
print,
So
but
it's
then
smooth.
you want to have something that's going to still kind of
Yeah, I
keep
have
it
no
level.
patience. That's how I sand. You see my fingers all over the whole car. But that's why you're here at the show, because you're a professional.
So in case I didn't say that when I was first blocking it, when I started off, I did a hard block with 8. Reason being there's not a whole lot of texture on this surface. Then I jumped straight to 12 because I'm trying to preserve as much clear on there as you can because there's no reason to over sand something when you already have it getting flat like that. So now I'm going to go from 12 to 15. And I'm using a medium density now versus my hard block I was doing in the beginning. Some guys will cut at 15 after this with the polisher, which
Right.
you're not going to get the clarity. You're not going to get the clarity on the final finish. It might be shiny, but you're not going to get clarity in depth. So once again, I say you're just doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and keep it moving. And then you can even do one last longer one just to even off your pass so you don't have a bunch of other stopping marks in there, marring, sanding marks. Now I'm going to jump to 2000. And the sandpapers, it's going to be to what you want to do. 3M, sunlight. It's totally up to what you're comfortable with.
What's the difference between a wet sand and a dry sand?
Dry sand, it's just a different type of paper. You can use it with a DA or you can block it the same way with this here, with pads. The dry is just going to let you see it. I don't think you'll get the clarity at the end. It's great for a start, but when you get to the finish, I think it's always best to finish off with a wet sand because that's where you get the clarity out of the clear.
And wet sanding's a little bit quicker, but it's all in your eyes, what you see, what you're taking off, right? And what it looks like.
It's in your eyes and it's actually even in your feel because you can actually feel the texture. You can feel the smoothness of the paper as you're going to the higher grits. And then one long pass at the end.
There's a lot of work in this. To do a complete car like this, 56, how many days are you talking about to do all of this for the whole car?
Be in a car anywhere from a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
That much?
Depending on how many parts we're going to have, because you got to remember we have continental kits, we have dashes, firewalls, there's those interior parts, door jams. It depends on how in depth you want to go on your project.
Depends on how much money you also have to afford this.
Yeah.
Then again, knowing what you get and taking a week to week and a half, wow, that's too much work. And then one mistake and you ruin the whole car.
Yeah, if you're trying to get in and out of there and doing it for the money, this isn't really what it's all about because that's where you're going to run into the issue. Taking your time, getting the final result.
So you took all these steps with all the different grits of sandpaper. Now
Now we can
What's the
actually
next?
cut it with compound. So this is a really low abrasive compound. So it takes a little bit longer to get that shine out of the clear after you sanded it. gives you a longer running time. You can actually even do it with a foam pad. I like using my wool pad. So this is what I'd always would start off with on my jobs. So now I removed the tape off of it, so now we can get a better look, a glimpse of what we're accomplishing here. So there's your texture, no texture there. You see the marring or sanding marks from the sandpaper, which will be buffed out on the clarity part when I hit it with a compound and a rotary polisher with a wool pad.
Rotary polisher. What happened to the old DA grinders? They used to turn at a higher RPM. You could buff out the car in about 30 minutes.
That's what's
gone are those days, right?
Those days of the older machines like that are gone. So now you still have the rotary, which is still this one doing a full rotation. The ones you're talking about, like the dual action one, we still have that one here, but now we're using this more for the polishing part of it, final. But like this is the wool pad. I wanted to use something that was a little bit broken in, unfortunately, because I don't want to make a big mess. But this is normally what I start off with is a new pad. But like I said, that becomes pretty messy in here.
Slower RPMs are better or higher RPMs?
I personally like to do slower. Back in the day, we had those things cranked up, and we didn't even have we didn't get to control the speed. When we had those
saw that drinking a few beers.
Yeah,
high RPM.
Everything looked great.
Happy in 3 hours, right?
Yeah. So what I'm doing on the first pass now is working in the compound just to get rid of the marring, or what you would say wet sand marks, off of the finish. So now you're going to be able to tell the flatness versus the orange peel, and that's what I'm doing with this compound. Yeah. Now, just because I'm just keeping it cooler, and I'm going to have a longer running time with the compound, is this just the thing to do now with these newer pads to have them a little bit at an angle.
Lux, you have to go. You're saying 4 or 5. This is your experience. 4 or 5 passes. What is the quantity or amount that you're supposed to put on a panel like that?
Well, that's one
where it could be just too much compound, not enough compound, or when this is too dry or you have it too muddied, and that's how you cut through.
When you have too much compound on here, that's when this starts getting all mucked up and just oversaturated with it. So what you want to do, that's why I do so many short passes. So it's actually drying a little bit of a haze. I'm working it in, getting rid of all the marring from the wet sanding, and not letting this get all built up with all the compound in it. So it's doing its job.
All right. So Lux, you have 4 or 5 passes going into that area right now. What are you looking for eventually? If it's 4 or it's 5 or I don't know. What are you looking to see out of the compound?
I'm looking to get the clarity out of it. There will be swirls in it from the wool pad, but what I'm looking for is making sure I've gotten rid of all the marring from the wet sanding, all the wet sand marks out of it. Of course, here we're going to see the difference between the smooth area right here that we wet sanded, and what it looks like when it's not wet sanded. So you also have like little dust divots inside the clear. You have still the texture like of a tennis ball on this one, or not even a golf ball on it. So that's what we're trying to eliminate. So on the final finish, we'll have nothing but clarity and gloss. Right here, we still have swirl marks in it, and that's where we're going to go next. Now we're going to a different type of compound and a different polisher to get rid of those. All right, so the next step I'm going to do, that's what our polisher is now. So this is a dual action polisher, so it doesn't have the full rotation. This is what's going to help eliminate the swirls, so that's why it goes being a dual action machine. Then I'm going to get rid of the swirls by using a different lighter compound, and this will help take out any kind of the surface scratches or defects that are in the leftover from the clear coat. I just use very minimal with this here. This one right here, I probably would go over it probably like maybe 2-3 passes just to make sure the swirls are out of it, because I still have 2 more steps after this to get it fine-tuned.
Hey everyone, before we get back to our episode, we want to give a shout out to one of our proud sponsors, PowerMaster Performance. One of the most important parts under the hood of your lowrider is the alternator. The key to selecting an alternator is to make sure its output meets and exceeds the electrical needs on your ride, especially at idle. For instance, if you have an electric fan, electric fuel pump, big amps, airbag compressors, you're already looking at over 100 amps. And that's not counting the ignition, exterior lighting, or air conditioning. The other important part is to understand that the alternator must be capable of supporting those electronics at lower RPMs while idling or cruising in traffic. Plus, it's available in chrome, polished, black, and natural housing for single V-belt and serpentine belt systems. For more information about PowerMaster's HPR series, just go to powermasterperformance.com. Hey guys, just so you know, this is one badass tire. Coker Tire has been working for years to build a perfect 520 tire, and the evolution of this tire was led entirely by the end consumer, which is us. Suggestions from customers led to many changes throughout the years, and the most recent improvements include all new tooling and molds, meaning that the ultimate lowrider tire just got better. Crisp sidewall lettering and perfect white wall size and location are the cosmetic features, and you can expect excellent performance out of this tire due to its 8-ply rating. The most significant feature of the new premium sport tire is the tread profile and defined shoulder, giving it the perfect look. This reimagined tire has the same great features you know and love, but with all new materials to ensure customer satisfaction. It has been years in the making, but believe us, it's worth a wait. You can order the new Premium Sport 52013 and 52014 now at cokertire.com.
So that was the second pass on it. This is also a wool pad. This is, I think, is one of the times that a lot of guys out there may miss and they go straight to polishing after they did their cutting with the rotary. This is going to help fine tune everything. So I say, there's your compound, there's your wool pad. Now the next step is to go with like a polishing, cutting. Even though it still says it's cutting, it's actually going to help bring out the clarity. And I'm going to a polishing pad now, also wool.
So you're still cutting clear.
Still cutting.
From the sandpaper on, you're still cutting it.
So now what I'm doing with this right here, there's I don't know the name of it, but now what I'm doing is I'm just moving the clear and I'm closing up everything from all the marring, all this, any of the fine scratches that are in it that were left over by any of the wool pads. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just closing everything up. So, and that's what's gonna give it this longevity of shine. Same thing. I don't use that much. Just a couple drops. A few pass on this one. Then you can even tell this a little, already having more of a sheen just with the product on it. But now, some of you might be able to see in the reflection of the light, the depthness starting to happen more. So now I'm going to go from a wool polishing into a foam polish, and then I'm using, it's called Pure Finish, but it's also like a fine tuning. So it's going to help remove any of the buffer swirls, any of the dual action swirls or anything that could be in there. Well, I should say marring from this. This doesn't actually leave swirls. That's it for that one. Now you can actually even get more clarity from what we just did with that polishing wool pad. And from here, it's just a choice of what type of wax you want to put on it, but that's pretty much it right there. So now it's the personal preference of what you want to put on it as a finish. You can put a paste wax, a liquid wax. I actually like just to use my spray wax. I mean, everybody else has theirs out there. It's a quick shine spray wax. It's got carnubas in it. It's got polymers. It's actually designed for aftermarket clears, which took quite a bit of R&D to do. But I think we got it. You can either do it on the rag, just real light, make your pass. You'll see it, and then you just flip over your rag, dry it off, and you're done. Showtime.
So Lux, I mean, this tech tip here was to explain to everybody on how to final finish and polish your car, from wet sanding all the way to the detail, carnuba, the spray that you put on there. For everybody that's out there right now, if you want to go out there in your garage and try this on your $20,000 paint job, say a Hail Mary. Make sure that you have enough clear on there. Even when your painters tell you, oh yeah, I got 2 kits, make sure they did put 2 kits. Go down to the shop when they're clearing it. Because what did you do here today? You got rid of what, about a whole coat on a car? Or 2 coats of clear on a car? What did you get rid of?
With this one, on this one right here, I'd probably say I got about a coat and a half off of it.
And just to get it clear. You need to clear, not so that you don't cut through. It protects your paint, especially if it's a candy.
Yeah.
So it is up to you. Watch who's detailing your car. Watch who's painting it, that there's enough material. And whoever's going to detail your car out there, there's a lot of professionals that have their own way of buffing cars out. They have to agree with everything you've done. You've been doing this for how long now?
Jeez, I've been doing this over 40 years.
That's all we're saying. It's just, and you have to use a quality product just as well. And you try out all kinds of different products, don't you?
Like, I have to. Every paint's changing every year, and that's what I was saying earlier. To be able to talk to the chemist on who's making the clear. Yeah, we said 2 kits of clear. Well, that's a high solid clear. If you're using a low solid clear, you're talking about 4, 5, 6 kits of clear because it's so thin.
You're paying for the paint shop. Make sure you get what you paid for. Going back to this, the graphic patterns, this is very nice, all pinstriping. So that process that you did right here, just to explain to everybody, you shouldn't have to feel the pinstriping lines once they clear your car. So when you go through all this process of all those grades of sanding, you got to sand this car down flat so you don't look down the side of a hood and see everywhere the car was striped or see even the patterns, right? You want it flat down in glass. That means more clear.
Yeah, so this one here hasn't been wet sanded all the way. I didn't get to work on it, but you'll see what he's talking about. Like right in here, you'll see the ridges of the pinstripe, the patterns, and that's what you want to flatten. We got to show you on this skirt with no patterns on flattening it, but that's the same purpose we're trying to do with all the other ones that have patterns and pinstripes on it. It's got to be flat. It's got to be enough clear on it.
We're talking to a master craftsman at the job that he does. How long have you been doing this now?
Over 40.
Over 40 years?
40 years.
And he learned the hard way. Of course, you've cut through and you've buffed through paint jobs.
Yes, my mentor did that to me.
You go to partials today only to critique everybody else's finish, don't you?
I just think a lot of times the client doesn't know really what they're getting and what they're looking for. They're putting their trust in the person that's selling them the paint, the painter, or the guy that's going to do the buffing and all that. Not saying that there's definitely... I'm not like 100% perfect, but I've done so much in there. You nearly have to be perfect when it comes to this type of work.
Okay. There you go, everybody. Lux Detail, we know how to get a hold of you.
You can go on to IG, and it's just Lux Detail. You'll see it as the official Lux Detail. You'll see all the cars on there. That's really the best way to reach me. Hit the DM on there.
Lots of experience here, everybody. Be careful with that final finish. Speaking about that, we are coming to a final finish, Joe Ray's Garage, where it came into car detail, the final polish, wet sanding, and a whole lot of
polishing and
other products and polishing.
Yep. Through all the grits of sandpaper and all the products to get it there.
But that's how 15,000 becomes 50,000.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody, there you go. Another fine episode of Lowrider Paint. Thank you, Lux.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.